Hi, this is another story I've written in the Trevor's Dragon series. This is Trevor and the Mayor's Xmas Tree. Trevor had protruding teeth, was 9 feet tall and fat. Always wore an overcoat and wide-brimmed floppy hat. Locals had a name for him. They called him Scary Clown. Recently they'd driven him to live outside of town. Trev moved to the parsonage beside the ruined church, set in scrubby woodland that was mostly ash and birch, but there in his back garden was a 15-metre yew. Neath its ancient branches was a zone where nothing grew. Laying in the darkness, poison needles from the past carpeting this desert with the toxins they'd amassed. Yew's a very jealous tree. The earth below is dead, so this was where the dragon napped upon his needled bed. Trevor and his dragon were the best of friends. Dragon quite hop-headed, doesn't care if he offends. Trev a gentle giant with a wicked sense of fun. They never left a joke unsaid or any prank undone. One day in December, through the door was stuck a note asking that the residents construct a Christmas float. Local parish council, with the backing of the Lord, ordered the tradition of a pageant be restored. All the local townsfolk got a summons to the hall. Reigning Mayor Miss Brasswick would outline the plans to all. Trevor was excited. He's included on the list. This would be the first time that his name had not been missed. On the day appointed, Trevor joined the milling crowd. Dragon hadn't followed because monsters weren't allowed. Mayor said, "We know we've had some hardships through the year. Weather poor, harvest bad, not much cause for cheer. Let's celebrate its passing and look forward to the new. In order to achieve this, we've decided what to do. There will be a festival to entertain our friends." But Mr. Green, the jailer, noted, "It's our cash she spends." Mayor glared at Philip Green, a withering rebuke. Then she said, "I'm inviting both the bishop and the duke. There will be a carnival from town hall to the square. Then our VIPs can judge the Christmas trees stood there." Brasswick said that everyone, according to their means, share the cost of staging up to 20 Christmas scenes. Mr. Wood the Chippy, with the Cartwrights, Smiths and Trades, were to build the scenery on trailers for parades. Greedy Nick the banker had to source the parts required, while Taylor and Mad Hatter made the costumes she desired. Butcher, baker, brewer were provisioned for a feast, and then would come a blessing at the square by Mr. Priest. Questioning the donors, she received her guarantee. Then she turned to Trevor, saying, "Oh, we need your tree. Everyone is helping, so I think it only fair. Chop it down, drag it here, and decorate the square." Trevor stood dumbfounded. That was Dragon's favourite place. Brasswick must have noticed the expression on his face. "Anyone with problems, see the council at the hall. Carnival will happen, and I don't mean some, but all." Trev went home to Dragon and recounted what was said. He saw his friend was angry as black smoke came out his head. "Brasswick's got a forest with more trees than I could eat. She's not having you, tree," said his dragon with some heat. Trevor and his dragon sat up late into the night, making plans for Christmas, because they had to do it right. Dragon sent a letter to a Father B in Rome, respectfully requesting that he visit Trev at home. When the sun had risen, Dragon went out to his bed, curled around the yew tree, then he let it in his head. There, amongst elusive dreams and mischief-making fun, Yew and Dragon made a pact, and two became as one. Later, when the sun had set, a seed fell to the ground. Dragon filled it with his fire, and Trevor gave it sound. With the blessing of the yew, they took it to the square, dug a hole, buried it, and said a Christmas prayer. Greedy Nick the banker had a target to pursue, taking up the offertory, assisted by his crew, making time to visit every home to get their shares, bleeding all the poor folk dry, but not the millionaires. Tradesmen built the float displays, while tailors stitched and seamed. All this time the dragon slept, and with the yew tree dreamed. Days were passing, Xmas neared, plans progressed apace, but where the Christmas tree should stand was just an empty space. 1 week left, and Trev received a summons to the hall. There before the councillors, our Trev felt very small. Chairman sat impressive. Our good mayor requires your tree, but you are too rebellious, a fact that's plain to see. Sheriffs will detain you, while our banker cuts it down. You'll be imprisoned and then banished from this town. Trev was led to waiting cells. The jailer turned the key, and as he left, he whispered back, "Too bad about your tree." Greedy Nick the banker, with his crew and twin-blade axe, turned up at the parsonage to take the tree as tax. As they neared the yew tree, Dragon opened up an eye, stoking up his inner fire from fairly low to high. Nick and fellow taxman laughed and looked towards the prize. This would be an easy tax, no sweat, the yew tree dies. Hefting double-bladed axe, they did some practice strikes and posted them to Facebook. Miss Braxwick added likes. Banker's team approached the tree in quite a happy mood, unaware that Dragon saw their trespassing as rude. Darkness seemed to coalesce around the ancient yew, and then an angry dragon breathing fire came into view. Roots grabbed hold of ankles, branches lashed against their heads. Dragon roared with tongues of flame. Their courage was in shreds. Brasswick's little posse panicked, screaming for the gate, rushing for the exit. But for them, it was too late. Yew tree's deadly toxin was implanted in each brain. Though the three escaped that night, all three became insane. In the morning at the square, 3 idiots appeared, screaming about dragons and that Christmas trees be feared. The 3 of them were taken to see doctor, just in case. Justin did a thorough check, then said, "I find no trace of any sense or sanity. They're all completely mad. There's no cure, so here's my bill. It's also very sad." Brasswick just exploded when the council got the news. "Doctor's bill for failure? We won't pay it. I refuse. Let him chase the banker and his crew to pay their bill. Not our job to foot the tab when contractors get ill." Then arrived a letter from the Duke at Sodom Hall. "We accept the invite to parade and Christmas ball. For the dance, I'll lend you my musicians and marquee. We will be most honoured to attend and judge your tree." Philip Green, the jailer, brought a breakfast to the cell. He and Trevor were neighbours, and they got on fairly well. Philip said, "I don't agree with what the council's done. It isn't right, and I am sure I'm not the only one. Think they're so important and they throw their weight about? I'll give it until dinner time, then letting you back out." When the town hall clock struck 1, his neighbour set him free. Trev set off for home at once to check up on the tree. Dragon, glad to see him, burst into a welcome song, and in the sighing of the wind, the yew tree sang along. Dragon waved a letter, a reply from Father B, confirming he would visit in response to Trevor's plea. Dragon then recounted the events of yesterday, how both he and Ancient Yew had chased the crew away. But he didn't mention what they'd left inside their brains, and that Trev was too kind-hearted to take pleasure from such pains. When the Mayor Miss Brasswick heard that Trevor was now free, she strode down to the jailhouse, screaming, "Now explain to me why that giant felon isn't locked up in his cell. There'd better be an answer, or you kiss your job farewell." Lady Mayor Impressive, in a 5-inch platform shoe, towered over Mr. Green, a paltry 5'2". But the jailer stood his ground and looked her in the chin, stating that when good folk quake is when the bad ones win. I don't want a part of your dictator's reign of fear. Trevor has done nothing to deserve a spell in here. Major Apoplectic, screaming, out, 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 you're sacked, and I want your house back, so you best get home and packed. Philip stunned. My family, it's nearly Christmas time. She said, yes, your punishment so neatly fits your crime. You let Trevor out of here, so I will set you free. Leave the council house right now, you and your family. Philip Green was angry now. He shouted in her face, that's unlawful, Braswick. You're a rogue and a disgrace. I'm going to the council and I'm lodging a complaint. Braswick cackled loudly, saying, council? Oh, how quaint. They will never back you. Bar the priest, I own them all. Once I buy the bishop, even he will be my thrall. You will leave this town tonight. Don't ever dare return. How you house your wife and kids is none of my concern. Goodbye, Mr. Philip Green. We'll never meet again. That's unless you really want your family in pain. Spinning on her platform shoes, she exited the jail, leaving her adversary deflated, sad and pale. Philip left and told his wife, while in his eye were tears. This had been their family home for nearly 20 years. Loading their possessions onto both the waiting carts, hand in hand with children, they set off with heavy hearts. Mrs. Green said, Philip, as a family we stand. You're brave and I am proud. The kids all understand. So they left their family home and set off down the lane, knowing that they'd never see a Christmas there again. As they passed the parsonage, a monster blocked their way. Breathing fire, he said to Phil, hello, my friend, good day. Not so good, said Mrs. Green, we've got nowhere to go. Braswick's thrown us on the street, we're feeling rather low. Dragon said, the west wing of the parsonage is bare. You would all be welcome, me and Trev would love to share. In the garden at the back, the yew tree dreamed a dream. There it added to the debt for Braswick to redeem. On December 21st, a limousine appeared, whence there came a portly man with pointy hat and beard. Striding to the mayor's door, he used his staff to knock. Mayor answered, and she saw a bishop in a frock. You're Mayor Braswick, was the greeting that she met. I've received a letter that has made me quite upset. You requested Trevor make a present of my tree. I am Trevor's landlord. That yew belongs to me. If you wish to take this matter further than you ought, be aware that I am head of Church's papal court. You will post notice telling Trevor that he's free of any obligation to provide you with a tree. Shocked and stunned, she stood and stared. Then with an angry bow, she said, OK then, Mr. Church, you've won this one for now. Smilingly, the bishop said, be careful how you act. My priest still chairs the council, and I wouldn't want you sacked. Then the laughing bishop headed back to catch his flight, chuckling in the knowledge that the mayor had had a fright. On the way he called in and he reassured his friend, Braswick's tenure as the mayor is coming to an end. Early in the morning on December 22, Braswick and the councillors decided what to do. They would force the townsfolk to supply another tree. This would come from Braswick's land, and this one wasn't free. Every man and woman was to give them £20. So she sent a huntsman round, collecting with his hounds. Fearsome beast with massive jaws, they scared the kids to death, slavering and snarling with big teeth and fetid breath. Many poorer townsfolk, with their Christmas money gone, looked to find a scapegoat they could heap the blame upon. Huntsman said, blame Trevor. It's because he is too tight. The town just needs a Christmas tree. He kept his back through spite. Every home was visited, each adult told to choose, pay the tax or face the hounds, and no one dared refuse. Last they came to parsonage and hammered on the door. Come out, Trev, you skinflint, help the mayor, 'cause she's poor. Trevor was on the toilet, so his dragon thought he'd help. Dogs were quite a nuisance, so a quick nibble silenced yelp. "Hello, Mr. Huntsman. Meet my partner, Mrs. U. She's not keen on doggies, but she's really keen on you." From the ground, small roots appeared and burrowed into flesh. This was how the ewe liked snacks, still living, warm and fresh. After several minutes, when the screaming had died down, Dragon looked in Huntsman's bag and found the cash from town. When the 23rd arrived, with Huntsman disappeared, Mayor Braswick asked for help, but no one volunteered. Action was required today, or it would be too late. So she grabbed an axe and cart and went to her estate. Trees there were aplenty, and she chose the biggest one, 10 yards tall and sturdy, and it weighed more than a ton. Hefting axe and furious, with strength her ire supplied, she chopped until it fell on her, and there she should have died. Yew tree was deep-rooted, and from sources underground heard the mare chopping, and it recognised the sound. Root to root the trees communed, and as the fir tree fell, they pulled her deep below the earth, into a living hell. Greedy worms and bugs with teeth were nibbling on her skin. Closing eyes, she tensed herself, feasting to begin. Then a sad and ancient voice spoke clearly in her head. "Hello, Mayor Braswick. Do you know why you are not dead?" "I would love to eat you. You're so easy to digest. I just have the meaty bits and leave the worms the rest. But my friend the dragon has requested I abstain. So I'm going to poison you and send you off insane." On the very morning that the pageant was to start, Trevor and his dragon both prepared to play their part. Dragon put a red nose on and harnessed up the sleigh. Trevor dressed as Santa, shouting, "Up, up and away!" As they passed above the square, the dragon dreamed of you. In the place where dreams collide, he sent the present through. Underground, the special seed, now filled with dragon fire, blossomed out from under earth and sang like angels' choir. Now there stood a Christmas tree with every branch alight, coloured like a rainbow. It was gloriously bright. Trevor, laughing, swooped above the pageantry parade. All the time from Magic Tree the Christmas carols played. Ho, ho, ho! He drew the presents from his Santa sacks. Each contained the money from the mayor's hated tax. Every man and woman got back everything they'd paid. So Trevor and his dragon were the heroes of parade. Merry Christmas.